Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called I Decide What You Do. I used to work for a certain aerospace manufacturer. The plant I was in made wire bundles. They were basically how the computer in the plane communicated with the rest of the plane. Our site had been experiencing slow output for a long time. On the books, we were a year behind schedule. Everyone could go from working 40-hour to 80-hour shifts for 12 months and we would maybe catch up. Management was constantly getting chewed out by customers. We were constantly getting chewed out by management. It was a pretty awful place to work. Because we were so far behind, management's bright idea was to hire a whole bunch of new guys. Just throw more people at the problem. Great. Only one problem. At our site, we quality checked our output ourselves. There were a few steps where quality assurance was called in just to double check. For the most part though, we had to make and check our bundles ourselves. However, you had to be working a pretty long time to earn this right. We are talking 6 months at the fastest. Until then, you were assigned a mentor to check your work and maybe even teach you. This worked fine when the mentor-mentee ratio was 1:1. Thanks to the hiring spree however, mentors were absolutely flooded. I had 5 people assigned to me at one point. This meant that the people who could make wire bundles the fastest couldn't. They spent all of the time checking other people's work instead. It gets worse though. New guys were of course slow and made mistakes. If a mentor doesn't catch it, the mentor's quality gets dinged, not the new guy. Once mentors started getting flooded, a lot more mistakes were let through. This meant that basically the entire line was in danger of losing their own quality checking status. We were absolutely set off. My manager was pretty green, as this was his first time in such a position. He was one of those guys who thought now that he wasn't on the bottom rung, he was superior. He called a meeting about how our quality was down. His new idea was to give mentors more time to check bundles and just waive them actually making harnesses. I pointed out that most of the actual production on the floor came from us, the experienced techs. If we didn't work on the actual harnesses, there's no way we would gain on our schedule. My manager looked straight at me. I pay you. I decide what you do with your time. That was that. If he wanted me to spend all my time checking, I would spend all my time checking. Where I used to spend about 50% of the day checking, I now spend 90%. I would ding my mentees for the smallest of mistakes. Connector has a tiny scratch, scrap the harness. Wire is bent a little funny, scrap the harness. Label has a small smudge on it, scrap the harness. Each time that probably cost over $20 in materials and a couple of labor hours. Multiple times a day. I became the pettiest, most micromanaging inspector imaginable. All technically against spec and thus correct choices to make. After a week, other mentors caught on too. We kept it up for a month straight. Our production was half of what it used to be. Sometimes I could see the manager in the office crying after a customer call. The manager called a meeting after that in a big huff. After talking it over with quality assurance, they had reached a decision where most mistakes would land on the mentee, not the mentor. He looked absolutely crushed. Things went back to how they were before, with us now a year and 2 weeks behind schedule basically. I stopped working there a while after. From what I hear, it's still absolute hell though. The next story is called Job Description Compliance. I used to manage a Cadillac dealership network a couple of years ago. There was a car salesman who also liked to study computers during his spare time. Unfortunately, that also meant that he knew way too much to be absolutely dangerous. I would constantly get complaints about him bunking down on a specific floating desk on the floor and locking it out from anyone to use it but him. I reached out to management about it, but they didn't want to do anything about it, even though he was bypassing many security features. Why are you coming to us about an IT problem? This isn't a management problem when it involves computers. Isn't that your job? I'm pretty sure that's in your job description. You get the idea. But I was sick and tired of getting calls and messages daily about this one guy. So I decided that if management wasn't going to have my back on this issue, then I guess I have free rein to handle it how I please, right? Since I was dealing with an above average user, I decided to go to the furthest extreme. I took a machine, imaged it to the same image as the floating desk machines and went to town planning all the restrictions needed. BIOS locked with a password, boot to USB disabled, chassis locked and closed. Auto login to a generic sales account. USB disabled in Windows. Desktop redirected to a folder on the file server with locked permissions. Chrome browser only, no Internet Explorer or anything else. Chrome bookmarks set to only what is needed. Log-off removed, only restart or shut down. Even if we did manage to somehow log off, it would just log back into sales. And a litany of other basic Windows restrictions that essentially silos the machine to either Chrome or the car sales software. I brought all my changes and my purchase requisition for the logs over to management and was approved with no questions. I sold it as necessary security measure and threw my weight around about how this is in my job description to address it and implement it. Spent an early Monday morning rolling out all the changes before he came in. Late afternoon rolls around and he finally shows up. I am off the clock, but decided to stay to see the fallout. He walks in, makes a beeline to his desk and watch as he sat confused at everything. I can't log out. I can't boot my USB. Windows can't see my USB either. I can't do anything at all. I watched in pure satisfaction as he just got up from the chair and walked around the sales floor aimlessly with nothing to do. The bonus part is, after all the changes, whenever a different salesperson complained about the changes, all I needed to say was, "Sorry for the inconvenience." The changes were necessary due to our salesperson messing with the computers. I am not allowed to say who it was though. So unfortunately, the changes will need to stay. They all knew who it was though. The third story is called How to Lose All Sales. My family recently moved into a new neighborhood that we chose because we love the neighbors. When we were touring the house, C came over and told us he'd mow our lawn for us. J told us all about the kids who our kids would make friends with, and X invited us over for a cookout. We try to be good neighbors too. Our front yard is where the neighbor kids know they can come to play in the shade with our dog and our kid. We installed a small but growing garden as an excuse to be outside and chat with our neighbors. I'm about halfway through baking brownies for everyone on our little cul-de-sac as a thank you for the warm welcome we've received. This neighborhood is a place where folks look out for each other, in part because most of us know we are the people who keep us safe. The other day I was sitting outside watching my kid play with his best friend on our block and friend's older brother. The older brother was asking me about our garden as an excuse to tell me all about what he was learning about pollinators. My kid makes a break for the street, so I run after him and pick him up. No cars ever go by, but we are trying to teach him road safety early. As I'm carrying him back into the house, the older brother is still talking to me when he's interrupted by someone with a branded shirt and a clipboard. I immediately tell the shirt that I'm not interested in buying anything, to which he replies that he's not trying to sell me anything. He launches into his apparently non-sales pitch for the home security system he sells and tells me all the details for the video doorbell that several of my neighbors have been installing. Now, in case you didn't know, big security systems regularly hand over all the video footage to the police without requiring any sort of warrant from them. Not to mention that several groups have been discovered listening into your conversations in the name of transcribing them. I asked him how his company avoids compromising my data. A question he dodges by scrunching up his face and moving on with his pitch. When I press him on it, he lies to me based on what I already know about his company that uses orange signs. He then tells me that C, J and X sent him over here because they said I was nice, implying that because I won't accept his lie, somehow I'm the jerk here. He falls back to say, well, C, J and X have had it installed, talk to them. I proceed to go over to C, J and X and one other neighbor. Also C, he sold the product to by the end of the day. I have a normal friendly chat with them. I slide into the conversation that I don't care for that company, because of the way that they hand over data to the cops and can listen in at any time. Fast forward to today, when every neighbor except Also C has taken down their orange sign and had the system uninstalled. I think Also C never had it installed, but is keeping the sign up just as a potential deterrent. The next story is called No Bad Reviews. This was many years back. I was helping a family member with some legal issues. They hired a very top legal firm. One of the forms they made you sign said that you would not leave a bad review for them or you would face damages of a specific amount. Well, they did a really bad job and the family member wanted to leave a bad review for them. I reminded them about the document they signed, but I did help them out. so I created the review. First of all, they got a full 5 stars. This is truly an amazing legal firm. They were so skilled and precise that they have documents for everything. In fact, one document that you are required to sign is a document that says you won't leave a bad review. Now, that's a really clever lawyer. So, if you are looking for a clever lawyer that makes sure you sign documents that says you can't leave a bad review, these are the ones. 5 stars, highly recommended. Since it was a 5-star review, I doubt they even read it. The last story is called I Don't Want. About 10 years ago, I was working at a big telecom company in the call center. I was the floor walker for the week, assisting my colleagues with difficult orders or customers. One of my co-workers, let's name her Amanda, wears me down and says that a caller refused to speak to her or any woman and wanted a man to assist her. I am dumbfounded. Does this still exist? Obviously yes. I let her know that I have her best interest and had an idea, and to play along. I sit down and pick up the handset of the desk phone instead of plugging in my headset. I introduced myself and asked how can I be of assistance. Oh, thank goodness, someone that can help me. I need to know, and proceeded to ask a question. I responded by mirroring the question back to ensure I understand his concern and asked him to wait a moment. I then, without covering the microphone, say to Amanda, he wants to know. What do I tell him? She's confused at first because it's a simple answer that everyone knows. Then the light turned on. She answered me verbally. I then parrot the answer back to our customer. This goes on for many questions. Finally, the customer has all the info he needs and wants to make a change to his service. I then tell him that I must have Amanda place the order, as she clearly knows more about the procedure than I do, so she will be returning to the line. I place him on hold while she reconnected her headset. He tried to belittle her gender, so we had to show him who really was the one with the power. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. And if you want to support me even further, why don't you check out the channel membership? I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.